Do it.
We are live.
I'm not ready. We're live?
We are live, yes. And
make sure Mimo remotes. Oh, there it is.
Make sure to switch on your Mimo audio and maybe Discord off.
Oh, fine. Huh. Mimo call's now coming up. It found Steve's iMac, but it's just spinning so far. Well, hello, everybody. Oh, there it comes.
Hello,
there comes.
chat room.
What are you playing with your mic for? Jeez, you're killing me.
Oh, a little loud.
Yeah. You could mute while you're messing with that, you know. Anyway, it is time for roll call. We have Alan heading us off here, and Jason and Frank and Jill and John and Rose and Mike and Rick and Sandy and Michael. And who's in the sidebar today? Who we got? Is Dave Ginsburg there? Maybe. And did I say hi to Jill already? Yes, I did. Jill's in the sidebar too. It's very confusing when people are in two places. Marion Gary is on Discord right now. You should open a chat to her and find out why she's not in the show. And Rose, and let's see, Rick was there again, and Frank, and I think that's got everybody. Yep, Dave is there.
Let us know if we left you out.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, there isn't a link yet to my presentation at your user group there, is it? Is there? I presented yesterday morning. I probably don't have time to incorporate it anyway, but I hope maybe you could make sure they send that to me, and I'll plug it next week.
He says there is
on the show. Yeah, but I don't have any prepared notes to say that. Are you still playing with your mic?
Oh no, I was just playing with this thing.
Whatever you're playing with, it's making a lot of noise. That's a coaster.
Yeah.
There's a rumble on your audio there. All right, really? We did an audio check already, so you guys are hearing playback, right? You guys hear that low-level rumble he's got going?
Here, let me mute my mic and tell me if it comes through. I'm muting now.
Oh, it's so nice when it stops.
So that was it? It's coming through my mic?
Oh, I know it's you. I can see it on the waveform on Mimo Live. I think you've got... Are your fans going?
Yep.
Oh, Jill says it's your stomach. That's it. All right. Well, I have to do a lot of recording today, so we should probably get started. Kevin will be here, but
maybe
he is going to be late. No, he just said he was going to be late, right?
He said he may be late. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to mute you, Steve. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever-so-slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, January 10th, 2020, and this is show number 818. We've got a really big show today, so I'm not going to do any faffing about. We're going to kick right in and get started. All right, and a chapter mark for none other than Mike Price was the guest on Chit-Chat Across the Pond. How exciting is that? Let's see. I need to do... let's do a chapter mark, shall we?
Yes.
Mash down all the keys. And I'll do a copy link. And a copy. And it didn't work. Why is that? That's interesting. I wonder if it's because I did it like that. Let's try it again. Nope. We do not have security bits today. I'm going to take a picture of that waveform, or just turn my headphones down so I don't have to listen to it. Steve, are you by chance running one of those? What do you call those? Do you have one of those launches going on?
I don't believe so, but I will check.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds just like that.
All right.
But maybe it's just your fans. All right. Got the chapter mark. And now I'm going to read. Oh. Steve is running an earthquake simulator. Yeah, Steve watches so many launches that I walk by his room and I hear like this. And it's just the wind. Am I right?
Often you'll hear some rumbling coming from this room.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if SpaceX is launching.
Exactly. Well, I'm muting you so I don't have to listen. Here we go. Oh, it's so good when that stops. All right, here we go. This week, our guest for Chit Chat Across the Pond is Mike Price, also known as Grumpy in the Podfeet Slack and our live show chat room. During the live NosillaCast, I have to perform a super repetitive set of tasks to add chapter marks as I'm recording the show. If you enjoy the fact that there are chapter marks, you should give partial thanks to Mike because he figured out how to automate the process for me using Keyboard Maestro from keyboardmaestro.com. The thing that fascinated me was that he didn't know Keyboard Maestro before creating this automation for me. In this conversation on Chit Chat Across the Pond, he explains what Keyboard Maestro is, how he learned it so quickly, and what you can do with it. I asked him to break down each panel of the software for me methodically and explain the interface because while I've done some super simple automations with Keyboard Maestro, the interface still continues to confuse me. David Sparks has one of his famous field guides on Keyboard Maestro, which are really mini video tutorials. Mike watched David's field guide to learn the tool, so I've included my affiliate link in the show notes in case you want to learn from the great Mac Sparky yourself. Mike is funny, articulate, and a brilliant developer. We used a Google Doc to collaborate on an outline, and Mike added enough detail that I think it could be valuable for you as a reference guide for our discussion, so that's also included in the show notes. It's really long. Mike also promised to provide the Keyboard Maestro macros that he talked about during the show, do notifications, Grumpy's Hindi chapter marks, and possibly the most useful, his XKPassWD macros that allow him to connect Bart's awesome password creation tool. I put a link to a zip file of all of those macros, and do remember to be cautious when downloading macros from the internet, so check them carefully and look at what they do before you enable them. In any case, I had a great time talking to Mike, and I think you guys will enjoy it as well. So check out Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice, and it's also under, of course, Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, because a programming episode would be light in our world.
So I went to Mike's Google Doc.
Yeah.
And I could edit it. I don't know if it's got general edit capabilities by anyone.
Are you logged in as NosillaCast@gmail.com?
No, I'm logged in as myself.
You sure?
Well, let me check again.
Chit Chat Across. So check out Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice, and it's also under.
Yeah, I'm logged in as me.
Okay. Can we maybe work on that later?
Sure.
Gotta mute you. I can't listen to that. And of course, it's also under Chit Chat Across the Pond Light in that same podcatcher of choice. All right. I want you to come listen to what your microphone sounds like to me. Let's see. We're going to start with Jill. I didn't play Jill's Apple Watch last week, correct? I don't think we did. Oh, I should probably do a chapter mark. Kevin was in Slack earlier today. Oh, yes. Let's see. I got to start here. So this is a week in the life of Jill's Apple Watch. Lindsay. Okay. Catcher of choice.
Hi, everyone.
Slide that over just a little bit. Podcatcher of choice.
Hi, everyone. This is Jill from the North Woods. I thought I would do my own day in the life of my Apple Watch. I do a lot of the things that Allison mentioned in her podcast from October 15th about what she does with her Apple Watch. And of course, I use it to unlock my Mac and my Mac Mini. I initially started tracking my sleep with Sleep Cycle, but for some reason, when I wore the watch at night, it kept me awake. So it actually made my sleep worse to have my watch on. Now, first of all, I travel for a living. And so part of what I do is walk around the towns that I'm in. But one thing I want to make sure is that I don't look like a lost tourist. You get to a new town and potentially has a little bit more crime than you're used to. And so what you don't want to do is pull your phone out and keep looking at the map like you're constantly lost. You want to walk around a town that you're not familiar with like a boss. like you know where you're going, and that helps deter crime when you're in a bigger city or a place that you don't know very well. So, what you initially do is you go to your phone and you put in where you want to go on the maps. It works with Google Maps and Apple Maps. And then as you're walking down the street, you'll feel a dozen taps at your wrist at an intersection. That means you should go right. When you're supposed to go left, you will feel 3 pairs of 2 taps. It will also warn you when you're getting close to your destination. And then if you're getting a little bit lost and maybe you're not exactly sure you're on track, or you're wondering how much more time you have to go, you can just look at your watch casually like you're checking your time instead of pulling out your phone and looking at the map. This makes you look very confident and keeps you on track. Plus, it's really nice when you're in a city like New York or Los Angeles where you're looking for major milestones. You can look around and see the scenery while your watch is helping you navigate.
Boy, your audio sounds great. So clean. I'm going to have to stop. I never thought it was a dozen times. I thought it was like tut, 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 tut. I thought it was like 6, maybe.
Is it because
I'm sure you're right.
Is it because of the app she's using that it's tapping more?
No, she was just talking about using maps, I think, at that point, right?
Yeah, normally it's just 2 and it's up or down taps.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Okay, I am going to respond to that, and then I will do a chapter mark. Who's in charge of chapter marks, by the way?
Well, I think it needs to be Rick, if he doesn't mind, since Kevin is not with us tonight.
Don't say it that way. Tonight.
What?
Okay, muting you. All right.
And I hope this helps you too.
Wow, I thought I knew everything cool the Apple Watch could do, but I learned a lot from this, Jill. I really should get that Crime and Place app. I remember once on a business trip to Texas, I went for a run in the morning near the hotel. And later, when I met up with my coworkers, they told me that I'd gone into a super dangerous area. So I probably needed an app like that. I did want to add a couple of notes to add to Jill's verbal explanation. You heard her refer to using a timer to tell her when to start wrapping things up on a talk. For that, she uses an app called Timer Plus. She also mentioned having the radar map on her watch, and for that, she uses an app called My Radar. Of course, she has links to all of this and all the other apps she mentioned in her written article over on podfeet.com. Cut that off quickly. All right. I should probably save. Apple pricing is so high I wasn't phased when I was placing my order when you did the titanium. Oh, look, Rick says add chapter marks and save right away.
Good timing, Rick.
Yeah, I think the real thing that needs to happen is if you don't see me do the chapter marks, that you say, hey, you forgot chapter marks. Like 100 times. Oh, there we go. Alan's taking it up too. Good job, Alan. Did I cut myself off? .com. No, not barely. All right. So I have a long post to read here. Straddling Big Sur and Catalina and Intel and M1. All right. Hey, Steve.
Yep.
Siri, I've been talking to you. Hey, come in here for a minute. Set your headphones down. I want you to hear this. Oh no, it's going to stop while he's gone.
There are no timers on HomePod.
It did get less after you left.
That's probably my fans.
Might be.
Yeah, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah. I wonder if it's some more isolate. Yeah, you've got a boom arm on the mic.
Yeah,
right?
It's an isolator.
Yeah. Oh, can you close my door, Johnny? I just affected your HomePod Mini. I don't know why mine turned on. I didn't even talk to her. All right. Good. Kevin's here. All right. Kevin showed up, Steve.
Oh, Kevin, welcome.
Yeah, stop being mean to you. But I'm going to mute you, dear, as soon as he got here. Turn my headphones down some. All right. Here we go. Lots of recording. You guys have a lot of time to talk. Well, I've managed to make myself a little bit crazy this week, and it's caused by having too good of a monitor, straddling two different operating systems, having just enough computers, and being short by one dongle. Let's start at the beginning with the problem to be solved, shall we? Well, this week for Screencast Online, I decided to do my video tutorial on Bartender 4, which is a brand spanking new version that's made just for Big Sur. When I committed to doing Bartender, I didn't realize that Bartender 4 only worked on Big Sur. I also didn't know that Steve was going to buy me a Pro Display XDR. Believe it or not, these two facts gave me a real technical challenge. So let's start with the requirements for the task. Bartender 4 runs on Big Sur, so the Mac I use must be running Big Sur. That one is non-negotiable. When I record a video tutorial, I need two monitors on whichever Mac I use. The display on which I do the recording has to be dumbed down to a very low resolution. If you record a screencast in high resolution, when it's exported to 1080p so it can be viewed on an iPad or a laptop screen, the text and menus will be too small to read, so you have to record at a lower resolution. Now, we used to set the recording display to 1280 by 720 for Screencasts Online. Right now, go set your display to that resolution and then try to work on it for a while. It's like sitting in the center seat on an airplane with two American-sized people on either side and you're trying to cut a steak with a spork. Well, about a year ago, we were allowed to go a little bit higher resolution, which was just wonderful. And so to maintain the 16 by 9 aspect ratio on a laptop, I'm now allowed to work at 1440 by 810. Now, that isn't a lot higher resolution, but every little pixel feels like a gift. I record using an application called Screenflow from Telestream. It's also an extremely powerful editor, so I need a secondary screen at high resolution to do that work. I create an iThoughts mind map for every video tutorial I make, and I'm constantly referring to that mind map while I'm recording, so that needs to be on the high-res display as well. Now, I usually keep my checklist for doing screencasting up on the same screen. I'm constantly forgetting what resolution I need to choose, how to save a text preset in Screenflow, and I have to remind myself to take the dog's collar off and disable the smart switch that controls our landline. So, all I need is a Mac running Big Sur with two displays, one at low resolution and one at high resolution. My daily driver is a 16-inch 2019 MacBook Pro. I sat down to start working on the tutorial when I realized that Bartender 4 only ran on Big Sur and the 16-inch is still on Catalina. I'm really close to being able to go to Big Sur, but Mima Live, the software I use for doing the live show, isn't quite ready for Big Sur. It's really close, but it's not there yet. I also use a Universal Audio Apollo Solo Thunderbolt interface to attach my XLR mic, a Heil PR40, to the Mac, and the drivers were only just now certified to work on Big Sur. I noticed a mistake there. I said, I'm really close to being able to go to Catalina, and it was supposed to be, I'm really close to being able to go to Big Sur. I'm really close. Nope. What? Where is it? There we go. Big Sur. Gotta make sure I plug that back up, but I caught it before I said it wrong. So that's good. Oh, you got to post the diagram, Steve. That's the best part of this.
I will be doing that as soon as you get to it.
Oh, okay. I'm just about to say it, huh? Okay, here it comes. I started working on a diagram, as one does, of the other options available to me, and I sent it to Stephen Getz. He asked whether I could install a virtual machine on Parallels on the 16-inch MacBook Pro and install Big Sur on that virtual machine. Well, that was an interesting idea, and it might be something to try, but I'd have to install all of my tools into this virtual machine, and that would take quite a while, and who knows what my mic interface would do, whether it would even work in a virtual machine. I'm finding a lot of typos. There's a slash at the end of that sentence instead of a dot. All right, keeping going. Someone else, and I wish I could remember who, suggested installing macOS Big Sur on an external SSD and booting the 16-inch from that drive. I considered that, though it would still require me to install all of my ancillary software on it, but it did seem to have a higher chance of success than a virtual machine. I didn't go down that path, though, because there were problems early on with Big Sur, where booting from an external drive caused some odd problems with the internal drive's Catalina installation. Evidently, it stopped the ability to upgrade Catalina even without the external drive attached. I think that problem's been overcome, but it didn't seem worth the risk at that time. So, the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro was not going to work for this task. Not to worry, though, I also have a 2020 M1 Mac Mini. It can only run Big Sur, so it should be perfect for this task. I use a CalDigit TS3 Plus Thunderbolt dock on my desk, so I only have to move a single Thunderbolt cable from my 16-inch MacBook Pro over to the Mac Mini, and the XDR display shows me the Mac Mini. I do have to plug in my Magic Keyboard and trackpad to get the Mac Mini to change the pairing from the MacBook Pro to the Mac Mini, but after that, they work fine over Bluetooth. So, the M1 Mac Mini running Big Sur seemed like the perfect solution. But the Mac Mini only has the one, albeit giant, display. Even if I could stand to dumb down the glorious 31.5 inches of that display from 3008 by 1692 down to 1440 by 810, I wouldn't have a second display to use for editing and reading my mind map. As you'll recall from last week, I gave my 27-inch LG 5K monitor to Steve after he gave me the Pro Display XDR. Seemed like a good trade at the time. I knew I wouldn't be able to get that display back from him, but maybe the 27-inch Apple Thunderbolt display he'd swapped out for the LG would work with the M1 Mac Mini as a secondary low-resolution display. I dragged it out of the closet and I added it to my desk full of equipment. This gave me a 16-inch MacBook Pro on a 12 South stand to my right, a 31.5-inch XDR display in front of me, and a 27-inch Apple display diagonally over on the left side of the desk. And I should say it was actually kind of half hanging off of the desk because it wouldn't quite fit. Now I had to figure out if I could plug this 2011 display into the 2020 Mac Mini. The 27-inch Apple display sports Thunderbolt 2 using a mini DisplayPort connector. It was time to go to Dongle Town. Well, Steve had been using this monitor plugged into a Belkin Thunderbolt dock, so luckily he had the dongle to go from mini DisplayPort to USB Type-C. I plugged the dongle into the Mac Mini, and the 27-inch Apple display didn't light up. I unplugged it from the M1, and I plugged it into the 16-inch MacBook Pro, and it worked just fine. It was time to go read the specs on the M1 Mac Mini to see what was going on. It turns out the M1 Macs that were launched in late 2020 have some video limitations. The 2-port MacBook Air and the 2-port 13-inch MacBook Pro from 2020 can only support one display. The 2-port Mac Mini can support 2 displays, but one has to be over Thunderbolt and the other one has to be over HDMI. The Pro Display XDR was already using the Thunderbolt connection, so I needed a dongle for the HDMI connector on the Mac Mini. It was time to go to downtown Dongle Town. I really pulled them all out. I dragged out every dongle I could find in the house. I found 13, and would you believe I didn't have a female mini DisplayPort to male HDMI dongle? Now, I thought I did find a dongle that would help. I found I had a female mini DisplayPort to full-size DisplayPort adapter. That was good news because I could plug the full-size DisplayPort adapter into the CalDigit Thunderbolt dock. That was exciting, but it meant both monitors would be connected to the Mac Mini via that one Thunderbolt cable. And remember, we know from the specs that the M1 Mac Mini can't handle them both on the Thunderbolt side. One has to be Thunderbolt and one has to be HDMI. So my brand spanking new M1 Mac Mini with my brand spanking new Pro Display XDR cannot help me with what sounds like a simple task. Whenever I buy a new Mac, I always keep one Mac back for emergencies. If I have a hardware problem on my primary Mac, I really need a backup Mac. This philosophy has saved my bacon more than once. For that reason, I still have my 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro. Now, the 2016 is a terrific machine, but I stand by my opinion that 2016... Wait. Okay, I'd said it backwards. For that reason, I still have... Now, I sound muffled tonight. The 2016 is a terrific machine, and I stand by my opinion that the 2019 was not that big of an upgrade from the 2016. Another reason to keep a spare Mac around is for running the new operating system before upgrading my daily driver. I put Big Sur on the 2016 as soon as it was officially out, so it checks that box for running Bartender 4. The relatively small 15-inch display could easily be set to the low res for recording, and the Pro Display XDR would take care of editing and mind mapping, and it would be glorious to use all of that screen real estate. But that was not to be, because the 2016 cannot drive the Pro Display XDR. Okay, fine. How about the 2016 MacBook Pro with Steve's 27-inch Apple Thunderbolt display as my high-res display? High-res as long as you consider 1080p to be high-res? Well, that solution technically checked all of the boxes. 2 displays, 1 high-res, 1 low-res, and the Mac would be running Big Sur. But I should have added one more requirement. It had to be ergonomically feasible. I had too darn many computers and monitors on my desk with this solution. I couldn't relegate my 2019 MacBook Pro off my desk while doing the video recording because I still had to do my work for my own shows throughout the week. And I didn't see the logic in moving the giant XDR display off my desk. Was I going to put my precious in the closet? No, I was not. I ended up with the 15-inch MacBook Pro in front of me, partially covering up the XDR display, and plugged into the 27-inch display diagonally to my left, and the 16-inch MacBook Pro still sitting on its stand off to my right. I also still had my keyboard and mouse to the right, paired to the 16-inch MacBook Pro, because I needed to work on that machine too, and it's impossible to type on it up on its stand. I tried to do some recording with Screenflow on the 27-inch to my left with the 15-inch in front of me, and within a half an hour, I had a neck ache from the swiveling and a headache trying to figure out which Mac I was trying to run at any instant in time. It was completely unworkable for me. I was chatting with the Screencast Online editor and good friend JF Brissett about this, and he made an interesting suggestion. He asked if I could do the recordings on the 15-inch MacBook Pro in the small screen, but then access the Screenflow document from the M1 over the network, and then using the drive on the 15-inch, but accessing it from the M1 and using the big display for editing. Now, technically that could work, but when I record, I tend to do no more than 2 to 3 minutes of recording, and then I immediately look at it in Screenflow. I'd have to record in Screenflow on the MacBook Pro, quit Screenflow there, open Screenflow on the M1, edit, quit Screenflow, and go back to the MacBook Pro. Now, I could try to record a long time on the MacBook instead of these short snippets, but I find that if a mistake is made partway through, often the screen is changed as you go through, and there's no way to backpedal to fix the mistake without undoing a bunch of changes, and that's often really difficult. So this was a possible solution, but definitely not ideal. The tutors that work for Screencast Online have a Slack channel where we can chat about video production issues just amongst ourselves. I posed the question of how the other tutors work if, say, they have just an iMac. How do they manage this problem with just that one screen? Rosemary Orchard of the Automators podcast is very active and helpful in that Slack, and she said she uses a USB-C monitor as the low-resolution display for the recordings. Well, guess what? I have a 12-inch 2K USB-C monitor from Yoyo sitting in my left-hand drawer. This is not the highest quality display of all time, but it's very high resolution. So I decided to actually do the opposite of Rosemary's solution and do the recording in low res on the 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro and use the 12-inch 2K display as the high resolution location for Screenflow and iThoughts for the mind map. I was able to put the 27-inch display back in the closet where it belonged, and now I have this tiny, light display that works over a simple USB-C cable and can be shoved back in that drawer when I'm not recording. My desk was much less cluttered. I don't have to turn my head nearly 90 degrees to see the little display like I did with the big display. It's right there. My neck pain is gone, and the recording went perfectly. I had a lot of fun sleuthing out this problem and stretching my brain to explore all kinds of different solutions and cables and specs. While this solution worked well, it's still confusing to work at my desk. The other day, I was running Big Sur on the 15-inch directly in front of me with the 12-inch USB-C display to the left, and I wanted to do other work intermittently, so I hooked the 16-inch MacBook Pro on my right to the XDR display in front of me, and I reached up to the keyboard of the 16-inch on the stand, and then I decided to use the keyboard and mouse to my right. It just was getting really weird. I put the 16-inch, the 15-inch, my iPhone and iPads and watch all in Do Not Disturb while I was recording the screencast, but I forgot one computer. a phone call came in, and the M1 Mac Mini started ringing through its dreadful tiny speaker. That was the one thing that I hadn't put in Do Not Disturb while I was doing the screencasting, but I couldn't put it in Do Not Disturb because now it doesn't have a display. The 16-inch MacBook Pro was using the XDR display. I didn't want to yank the Thunderbolt cable out of the 16-inch just to put the M1 into Do Not Disturb. So I did something even more clever. I used screen sharing on the 16-inch to show the M1. That gave me the M1 running Big Sur in a screen sharing window inside Catalina machine, and I'll be darned to tell if I could tell which Mac was going to react if I typed on the keyboard. Hey, I just had an idea. Didn't Terry Austin do a review of an app called Pixel Snap that would let you size a window to a specific dimension? Maybe I could set the M1 Mac Mini screen share window to the 1440 by 810 low resolution I need and then record just that part of the screen on the XDR display from within the 16-inch running Catalina. I may go completely mad working on this.
Wow.
All right.
That's a lot.
Kevin just suggested I save before I was even done.
Yeah, I think he's anticipating the end of the blog post.
You think so, huh?
You may have lost a couple people in that one.
You think? I lost myself. Holy cow. Okay, I got to do a chapter mark, but I need to go. No, I'm not going to do a chapter mark. Hold that thought.
Oh, why?
Good job, Alan. Because it's pledge break. Steve, I want you to set a timer and time how short this pledge break is. This can be the shortest one ever.
Hold on.
All right, here we go. You ready? You ready?
No.
Jeez. Raise your wrist and say, start a stopwatch.
Okay, get ready.
Okay, I'm starting. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Go.
This show is supported by the Uber fans. Those people who recognize the value they get out of the podcast and show it financially by pledging a weekly or monthly dollar amount over at podfeed.com/Patreon. If you're an Uber fan, please help consider funding to help. Dang it. Got to start over. Lost it. And I didn't mute you, so I had to listen to you typing. Here we go again. This show is supported by the Uber fans, those people who recognize the value they get out of the podcast and show it financially by pledging a weekly or monthly dollar amount over at podfeed.com/Patreon. If you're an Uber fan, please consider helping fund the show.
15 seconds.
3043. No, it's not. 3026 to 3043. No, that was about 15 seconds. How's that for an ad? Shut up. Chapter mark. Watch me do the chapter mark. Oh. There we go. Why isn't it doing anything? Come on. Hindenburg. Oh, there, I heard it. I have to hear it. It took a little while that time. That was interesting.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's not coming in. Huh. That's interesting. Is there a way to stop, like in case I get tangled in it, like if I tried it twice, Mike? Is there a way for me to tell Keyboard Maestro, just never mind, just abort? What if I'm a Lyft fan? Oh, nice, Lindsay. Remember Uber and Lyft?
When we used to use them?
From us. Yeah, we used them all the time. Huh. There is. He says there's a way to do it. Well, it's probably enough time now. I know we have it. Yeah, I was looking for the Keyboard Maestro icon, and I can't find it. I don't see it. Yeah, I may have it hidden by one of the cool things. Oh, there it is. One of the cool things in let me read what he says. Open the kill all macros, activate, cancel? Just go cancel? What am I looking for, Mike? Remember leaving my house. Nope. Running. Should I just hit cancel? Cancel all macros. I'll try that one. See if that does it. Okay. Yes, cancel. One of the cool things about Bartender 4 is their search. I spend so much time sitting there going, which one of these is Keyboard Maestro? So this will be nice. All right, let's try it again. Set my place marker. There we go. There we go. I think it's, I don't know, I'm not patient enough or something. So now I'm going to introduce him first, and then it's going to be Caleb Fong. Next up, we have a review from longtime contributor Caleb Fong, also known as Geeko Supremo, in our Podfeet Slack. All right, Geeko Supremo. So he records at like 3 a.m. after his whole family's gone to bed in a closet, and his voice sounds like he's whispering because he actually is.
Seriously?
Play a little bit of it. Well, he gave me a new recording that's a little bit better, but the first one was like, "Hi, this is
The Whisper Podcast."
Yeah, let's listen a little bit here.
Little NPR action.
Slack.
Greetings, fellow NosillaCastaways. Today I want to tell you...
I'm going to play that again. I was trying to hear this section here. Podfeet Slack. Yeah, I want that a little bit closer. Or Podfeet Slack.
Greetings, fellow NosillaCastaways. Today I want to tell you about a wonderful, mostly Windows tool. It's the Package Manager Chocolatey. In short, a package manager is a tool to manage applications in a reproducible way. For example, at my $day job, I have to manage around 50 Windows desktops. The built-in Windows Update is fine for keeping Windows OS current, but what about Firefox, or LibreOffice, or Python, or Screen2GIF? Each of these has their own separate updated mechanism, but they're all siloed into individual apps.
Yeah, he does sound like he's whispering in our ear, right?
So $day job, is that a code reference?
I think so. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Maybe Mike does or Michael does.
Oh, you noted it too, yeah.
All right, I am going to just say one quick little thing, and then don't let me forget to do a chapter mark after that.
A terminal command to manage the essential and basic features of your Windows computer.
That was great, Caleb. I really like it when we get alternative perspectives on tools that aren't just all Apple tools. I know that's the only thing I know, so that's all I'm ever going to teach you about. So when people have stuff for Android or Windows, I think it's really good to expand our minds about what other cool stuff is out there. And of course, you know I love a good open source tool. Thanks again, Caleb. That was great. Okay. And I think it sounds like he's in the witness protection program, Frank says. Okay, now I will do a chapter mark. The main thing you guys need to do is make sure that I never forget security bits again. I mean, it's okay if I forget some dopey thing I recorded, but if there's going to be anything that has a chapter mark in my show, I want it to be security bits. And the last 2 times I've forgotten it. It's just killing me that I did.
And I think that first one was when that huge attack was
Solar
out.
Winds hit.
Solar Wind
yeah,
just hit.
Like of all the times you want to link straight to Bart, that would be it. But nope. So yeah, watch, especially with security bits, watch to see if I obey you. It's good to tell me, but if I forget, that's good. 100 times is good. But okay, chapter mark. Stop talking about it, and do it. All right. I'm gonna copy link, and copy, and then you should see them come in. See those blue things come in? That's what you're looking for. When you see that blue stuff. All right. So I'm actually going to do another. God, it's nice having such a big screen.
You're at your last post?
I am.
Okay, so you went pretty quick tonight.
Well,
is this
I
a long
read
one?
a long post.
Oh, it's a long one. Okay.
How many words is it? I think that I can view how many words this is. Let's see. View, show status bar, show status bar? Is that it? There he is. 1,500 words. Maybe 10 minutes or so. We're at 36 minutes.
Okay. That works.
All right. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you agreed.
We'll let that go.
Okay. All right.
Just checking.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dumb question corner music. Don't forget that. Caleb, that was great. Okay.
Dumb.
Dumb.
Dumb
Dumb questions.
How come I always have to?
It's time for Dumb Question Corner.
Recently, my good friend Kelly Gumont asked me a question I couldn't immediately answer. She asked whether there was a way through accessibility on iOS to answer a phone call on an iPhone without using your hands. This began a journey of discovery. I found several ways to accomplish this, and the methods range from really dumb to possibly useful. I did find the perfect solution. I can't prove it yet, but I think I may have found the perfect solution. So if you know a better way than the methods I found, I'd still love to hear about it. Kelly was asking for a friend who has a temporary mobility issue, but I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to think bigger for those with permanent disability. I'm just messing this all up. What were you wanting to talk to me about? Steve?
Yeah, I was just, so this is a late breaking new find, possible solution?
I wrote the intro before I wrote the ending, and when I got to the ending, I did have a good solution.
Yeah,
so I should probably, cool. Let me edit it real quick, because it is, Lori Gill tweeted this for me.
Cool. I think it's time to have her back on the show on a chit chat.
Well, I have to wait until there's something to talk about. Can you, I'm editing right now. Okay. All right. Back here. Recently, my good friend Kelly Guimont, also known as Verso on Twitter, asked me a question I couldn't immediately answer. She asked me whether there was a way through accessibility on iOS to answer a phone call on an iPhone without using your hands. This began a journey of discovery. I found several ways to accomplish this, and the methods range from really dumb to useful. I may have found the perfect solution, but if you know of a better way than the methods I found, I would love to hear about it. Kelly was asking for a friend who has temporary mobility issues, but I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to think bigger for those with permanent mobility issues, like the Mac Quad, Darren Carr, who is a quadriplegic. I asked him straight away how he answers the phone, thinking he would know the answer, and he said he hollers, "Can someone answer my phone, please?" Obviously, that's not the high-tech solution we seek. Independence is what it's all about. I'm going to walk through the different solutions I found and the challenges with each one. Well, option one, I started by simply yelling, "Hey, S-Lady, answer the phone," while it was ringing. S-Lady simply doesn't engage while an iPhone is ringing, so that didn't work at all. Why am I just stumbling so much on this one? Ringing? S-Lady simply doesn't engage while Well, option one. The first thing I tried was simply yelling, "Hey, S-Lady, answer the phone," while it was ringing. It turns out S-Lady simply doesn't engage when an iPhone is ringing, so that didn't work. I tried to think of whether it was maybe a security angle for why S-Lady wouldn't be allowed to answer, but I couldn't come up with one, as you'll learn later. Good grief, there's like a sentence that doesn't even finish.
Could you have just, you mean the learn later sentence?
Yeah, I never finished that thought, so I'm taking it out.
Could it be...
But I couldn't come up with one. No, I remember what I was thinking, and it turned out to be a thought I never
I thought you were ending the previous sentence.
No. Now, I figured if that had worked, Kelly would have tried it, of course, but I had to give it a spin first to see if it did work, because, I mean, that seems obvious, right? Just ask S-Lady to do it, but she did not want to play. All right, solution 2. The iPhone can be set to automatically answer calls. If you navigate to Settings, Accessibility, Touch, call audio routing, auto answer calls, it's buried real deep, you'll see the option to toggle this feature on, and also to set the duration of time to wait until the call is answered. The first thing I saw wrong with this is it doesn't let you ignore calls. However, if the duration is set long enough to let you determine whether you want to answer, saying, "Hey, ask lady, ignore," will hang up the phone. I have a lot of Apple devices around, so at any moment an iPad or HomePod might take over control, but they banded together when I said to ignore the call, and they all obeyed my request. The duration time can be lengthened to more than 30 seconds. I got tired of tapping the +1 button to add more seconds to it after 30 seconds. I don't know how high it goes, but I think this would be workable to find a limit that's long enough to let you tell S-Lady to ignore the call, but not so long that the other person would get bored and hang up before auto answer kicks in. The other thing I would want if I was answering hands-free would be the ability to hang up. I tested asking S-Lady to hang up for me after auto answer had kicked in, and to my surprise, it worked. That meant that S-Lady was allowed to listen when I was on a call, but not when I was waiting to answer a call. So I don't know that it's a security reason why I couldn't answer the phone with S-Lady. Anyway, I really assumed that in the middle of a phone call, she shouldn't be allowed to listen for her trigger phrase, but she definitely was. Within the call audio routing section, you also have 3 options for how to hear the audio when the call connects: automatic, Bluetooth headset, and speaker. Automatic required holding the phone to my ear, but setting it to speaker allowed me to continue to be hands-free. You also have the option of setting up auto answer on an iPad. I tested setting up the iPad to auto answer and it worked. But when I tried to tell S-Lady to hang up on the iPad, the HomePod Mini sitting next to the iPad answered with, "This HomePod is not on a call, Podfeet." Well, that didn't happen with the iPhone, which was also sitting next to the HomePod. So if you can't get your iPad away from your HomePod, you'd be better using auto answer with your iPhone. All right, option 2. Speaking of HomePod, and especially HomePod Mini, it does make a rather delightful speakerphone for your iPhone. I often use the iOS Control Center to hand over a call from my HomePod Mini, or to my HomePod Mini, I should say, when I want to work at my desk while on a call. It doesn't work well as a speaker for video calls. The delay is too long to work well in that scenario, but as a speakerphone for the phone, it's great. So that got me wondering whether HomePod Mini, or even a big girl HomePod, would be a good solution to hands-free calls if you don't want your phone to auto answer. With a HomePod set up for personal requests, when the phone rings, you can simply say, "Hey, S-Lady, answer the phone," and the HomePod will answer the phone. I thought this was a great solution until I tried to hang up. If you say, "Hey, S-Lady, hang up," to the HomePod, she answers with, "I can't help you with that when you're on a call." Really? You can hang up when I'm on the phone with S-Lady, but you can't hang up when you're the one who answered it with the HomePod. My only idea of what you could do then if you can't hang up by yourself is you could reenact that scene from Friends when Ross and his girlfriend Julie kept saying, "You hang up. No, you hang up." Eventually the person on your call is going to get really tired of you and they will hang up. Now, I know it's not practical to have a HomePod in every room of your house or workplace to answer the phone hands-free, but at $100, the HomePod Mini is getting more affordable and might be useful for that. It might be a good answer for the more infrequent need for hands-free answering, like when you're in the kitchen and you want to answer the phone while your hands are all goopy. Option 3. I had an idea of another solution, and like the last one, it only partially worked at first, but then I think I got the whole thing to work. With iOS 13, Apple gave us a nifty new accessibility control or tool called Voice Control. With Voice Control enabled, one option is to have numbers overlaid next to every control on the screen. To interact with the application you're using, you simply call out the numbers, and it's as though you have tapped that control. I keep planning on doing a full walkthrough of Voice Control because it's so cool, and I will do that, but it's beyond our scope right now. I wondered whether Voice Control might be a way to answer the phone without using my hands. To enable Voice Control to play with it yourself, navigate to Settings, Accessibility, Voice Control, and toggle it on. There's a lot of settings for Voice Control, but the one I enabled was Item Numbers under Overlay. As I said, I need to learn all of Voice Control so I can tell you about the rest of it at a later date. With item numbers visible, I called my iPhone from another phone, and when I saw the incoming call, a 3 came up next to the green pickup button. I simply said 3, and the call was answered. I was delighted that it worked so easily. Unfortunately, when you answer the phone, for some dumb reason, voice control stops listening, so you don't get a number next to the hang up button. However, guess what does work? Hey, yes, lady, hang up still works. Now, I think in my experimentation, I may have found the perfect solution for Darren. When we were texting about how he answers the phone, he told me why he doesn't use voice control and has to ask a human to answer the phone for him. Here's what he wrote. I can answer with voice control and the number overlay on, but it goes to the speaker for your ear and not the speakerphone, so not at all useful when you physically cannot hold the phone to your ear. Also, I found that once you do answer call in that way, all voice control actions are disabled, so you are unable to put it over to speakerphone by voice. I say I have the solution for Darren, and it comes from something I told you about in a previous solution. Remember I explained that when you turn on auto answer calls, you can choose to have the call answered via the speaker on the phone? It turns out that even if you turn off auto answer, that call audio routing setting to tell it to go to the speaker stays enabled. As a result, when I use voice control to answer the phone with the number overlay, the call goes to the speaker, not the internal speaker on the phone. I cannot wait until Darren hears about this. With all of this experimenting, I did get myself into a funny bind. At one point where, even though I had disabled auto answer on my phone, my darn HomePod mini kept answering. I reset the HomePod. I unplugged it. I plugged it back in. I restarted my iPhone. I could not get the HomePod to stop answering. At that point, I enlisted Pat Dengler and Lori Gill to help me, but we couldn't figure it out. It was only after about an hour or so of faffing about that I figured out what was going on. Remember I explained I have too much stuff on my desk? A week or so earlier, I had enabled auto answer on my iPad Pro during my experiments, and the iPad Pro was sitting in front of the HomePod mini on my desk, so I only thought the HomePod mini was answering. It was actually being answered by the iPad Pro, which was sitting in front of it, and it sounded like the HomePod mini was answering it. Like I said, I may have too much tech on my desk right now. The bottom line is that I enjoyed the heck out of learning so much about the effective tools that are available on iOS for hands-free phone calls. But it sure would have been easier if Apple just allowed S-Lady to be engaged when the phone was ringing. All right, did I lose people on that one, Steve?
I don't think as many. I think people were more engaged.
I found some typos, though. Let me read this again.
So I was a little confused. Maybe there's a subtlety I missed. You have option 1, solution 2, option 2, option 3.
Oh, geez, did I?
What does that mean?
You know, when I was reading that, I thought that's what I saw. But okay, let's see. So option 1, yeah, it should be option 2. Okay, so I was fixing a bunch of stuff, so it's really, there's actually 4 options. So that'd be 3. Option 4 is voice control. I really need to do a full playthrough of voice control. It's really nifty. Okay. HomePod mini. Thought that I'm going to at one point disabled. That was so funny when I had to admit to Lori Gill that the HomePod was not answering. I mean, right
How did
in front
she
of it. Oh, she didn't even react. She didn't write anything. But after when I sent her the link, she was excited. Yeah, that's close enough. All right. And I'm going to send that to the blog. Please tell me you stay published. Yes. All right. We are ready to bring it home with 7 minutes left.
All right. Let's do it. Well, you do it.
I was waiting for that. All right. Here we go. Well, I had a lot of fun doing the show this week, but I got to tell you, we're going to have to wind things up. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions, like the question that Kelly gave me. That was so much fun answering that. I mean, she didn't cage it as a dumb question, but it sure sounded like a dumb question at first. Anyway, you can send dumb questions, comments, and suggestions to me by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com, and you can follow me on Twitter @podfeet. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You want to become an Uber fan? Go to podfeed.com/Patreon and make a contribution. If you'd rather do a one-time contribution, podfeed.com/PayPal. We take all kinds of money here. Anyway, if you want to join in the conversation and talk to me and talk to Steve, Steve is super active here. Go to podfeed.com/Facebook. Or if you don't like Facebook, we've got podfeed.com/Slack, where Bart hangs out. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Whew. There we go. You're muted, Steve. I don't hear you.
I was
You
muted.
guys hear
You don't
Steve?
put chapter marks in for the outro.
No.
People
People
don't
can
go
tell.
want to go right to the outro. I want to get to the end as quickly as
Yeah.
I can.
Well, you can tell I do it live every time because I made a fumble there at the end. Stay subscribed.
Well, that sounded good.
Yeah, it was a good hit there. All right, everybody. I think we had some fun. We had some laughs. I'm hungry. What is Steve making me for dinner?
It's a surprise.
It's a
No one would
surprise.
ever guess.
Let me guess. Chicken,
And
rice, and broccoli.
you got it.
Oh, Mike called it.
Chicken.
All right. Hey, we said last week, because I keep screwing this up, we're going to institute a chapter mark count. How many chapter marks do you think
yes.
there should be, counting the chit chat one?
I think there should be 5.
I have 5. Sold. Everybody
We're good.
agree 5? We're good? All right. Then we are safe.
5
Send
it
a
is.
blog.
There may be
All
6,
right,
but if
everybody.
we agree.
Well, yeah, as long as we agree, then it's your fault.
Right.
Wait, that's not it. Is that export? Yeah, it was. Export. All right, everybody. I think it's time to cut us off, Steve. Goodbye.
All right.
Bye,
Night,
Rose.
Gracie.
Have fun in the sun. Oh, 3.14159.7. Oh, I didn't know it was 7 after that. 3.14159 is as far as I know. Now I know it's 7. Bye, Alan.
Bye-bye.
All right.